Have you ever noticed your cat behaving differently around you than anyone else? Not louder, not dramatic, just quietly unique. Most cats eat, sleep, and tolerate affection. But sometimes one does a subtle, almost invisible thing that completely shifts the bond. Something that might look ordinary to everyone else. Yet to you, it changes everything. And if you've been paying attention, you've probably already seen it. This is where the real connection begins. 1. The misunderstanding. They're just attached to routine. Most people assume that when a cat follows them from room to room, waits outside the bathroom door, or chooses their lap over every other available spot, it's simply habit. Routine, convenience, warmth. But here's the contradiction. Cats are creatures of routine, yes. But routine alone does not explain selective closeness. If it did, they would rotate their attention evenly between household members who feed them, clean their litter, or sit in the same places daily. Yet they don't. What's happening isn't dependency on schedule, it's alignment of nervous systems. Cats bond through predictability. Not in time, but in emotional tone. They're constantly scanning for microsignals, breathing pace, voice softness, movement speed, tension in posture. When one person consistently moves in a way that feels calm and readable, the cat's body relaxes near them. And relaxation is rare in prey animals. It seems small. It isn't. When your cat repeatedly chooses your physical proximity, even when nothing is being offered, they're not responding to habit. They're responding to safety. And safety, to a cat, is personal. 2. The behavioural effect, subtle mirroring. There's another thing most cats don't do consistently. They mirror. Watch closely and you might notice it. If you sit on the floor quietly, your cat lowers themselves nearby. If you slow your breathing while they rest beside you, their breathing deepens too. If you shift from alert energy to softness, their tail movements soften with you. Owners often assume this is coincidence. It isn't. Mirroring is a bonding behaviour seen in secure attachment systems. It reflects nervous system synchronization. When two beings feel safe together, their rhythms begin to align without effort. Your cat isn't copying you consciously, they're regulating with you. And regulation is trust in physical form. Most cats remain environmentally aware first, human aware second. But when a cat mirrors you, you've moved up in priority. Your emotional state begins to matter in their internal landscape. That's not typical tolerance, that's attachment, and this is what most people miss. 3. The subtle trust shift, eye language. People often interpret slow blinking as affection, and yes, it is, but not in the way we think. Affection in humans is expressive. In cats, affection is permission. When a cat slowly closes their eyes in your presence, especially during close proximity, they're doing something neurologically vulnerable. Vision is their primary survival sense. Reducing it voluntarily as a declaration, I do not perceive threat here. Most cats reserve that behaviour for controlled environments. If yours does it repeatedly with you, not just once, not occasionally, but consistently, that's not random comfort. It's a chosen lowering of guard. And here's the important nuance. Cats do not lower their guard equally around everyone. Even in loving households, they maintain subtle layers of alertness depending on the individual. When your presence alone triggers eye softening, facial relaxation, and ear neutrality, your cat is categorizing you differently. Not as provider, not as roommate, but as secure base. There's a moment when your cat decides whether you're predictable enough to relax around long term. If they've decided yes, it changes everything. 4. Emotional distancing versus emotional anchoring. Now we move deeper. Sometimes the sign isn't increased closeness, it's decreased withdrawal. Many owners think, my cat doesn't hide when guests come, they must just be social. Possibly, but look closer. Does your cat stay near you during loud environments? Do they position themselves in your peripheral space when unfamiliar sounds happen? Do they glance at you before reacting? This is anchoring behaviour. Instead of fleeing fully into isolation, they tether themselves to your presence. It's a compromise between instinct and trust. Here's the psychology behind it. When a cat feels unsafe, their nervous system chooses distance. They don't argue, they don't confront, they create space. But when a cat trusts one specific human deeply, that human becomes an extension of environmental safety. Your scent, your posture, your tone, they act as regulating signals. If you remain calm, your cat recalibrates faster. This is where bonding chemistry begins to layer in. Oxytocin, often called the attachment hormone, increases not just with touch, but with familiar, safe presence. Over time, repeated calm interactions create a neurological shortcut. Near this human equal sign lower threat level, and the body remembers it's quiet, but it's powerful. 5. The deep attachment marker, voluntary vulnerability. There is one behavior that truly separates casual comfort from chosen attachment: exposure. Not dramatic exposure, subtle exposure. A cat who rolls onto their side or partially exposes their stomach without defensive tension isn't necessarily asking for touch. In fact, many aren't. What they're expressing is environmental ease. The abdomen is the most vulnerable area on a cat's body. In the wild, protecting it is survival instinct. When your cat reveals it near you, even briefly, without quick retraction or rigid posture, they are demonstrating that their threat radar is low. Most cats don't maintain that state for long around humans. If yours does, repeatedly, calmly, without hypervigilance, it suggests something deeper. Your presence has shifted from neutral to regulating. This is the permanent shift stage, and it doesn't happen quickly. It develops through hundreds of small, consistent interactions where nothing alarming happened. No sudden grabs, no unpredictable tone shifts, no forced affection, just steady presence. If you genuinely care about your cat, this is the layer you start noticing, not the loud gestures but the quiet permissions. Why most cats don't do this? It's not because they don't love their owners, it's because deep attachment requires specific conditions: predictable emotional responses, respect for physical autonomy, gentle tone patterns, environmental consistency, non-intrusive affection. Many cats live in loving homes where these factors exist inconsistently, not out of neglect, simply out of human nature. We're louder, faster, more expressive. But when one human consistently aligns with a cat's sensitivity threshold, something rare forms, not dependence, choice. Cats do not bond through obligation. They bond through nervous system safety layered with familiarity and scent memory. Over time, your smell becomes encoded as part of home. Your voice becomes background reassurance. Your movement patterns become readable and non-threatening. This layering builds attachment chemistry. Oxytocin rises not through dominance or control, but through repeated safe exposure. Safety precedes closeness. Always, the mistake owners make. Sometimes, when owners notice this special behavior, they accidentally disrupt it. They become more intense, more affectionate, more eager to reinforce the bond. It's understandable. When you feel chosen, you want to respond. But cats don't deepen attachment through increased stimulation. They deepen it through maintained predictability. If the energy suddenly shifts, louder greetings, forced cuddling, frequent picking up, the cat's nervous system reevaluates, not dramatically, subtly, and subtle distancing can begin. This doesn't mean the bond is broken, it means attachment systems are sensitive. The strongest cat-human bonds often look quiet from the outside. They aren't full of exaggerated affection. They're full of mutual regulation. This is where attentive owners begin to notice the difference between excitement and security. And security always lasts longer. At the beginning, we asked, have you noticed your cat reacting to you differently than to others? Now you understand why. Most cats coexist, some cats attach, and the difference isn't in how much you feed them, or how many toys you buy, or how often you call their name. It's in how safe your presence feels to their instincts. When your cat mirrors your breathing, softens their eyes, anchors near you during uncertainty, exposes vulnerability without tension, they're communicating in the only language that matters to them: nervous system trust. Over time, that trust layers into chemistry. Oxytocin reinforces familiarity, scent memory binds experiences, predictable tone patterns become emotional shorthand for safety. Dominance never creates this. Control never sustains it. Only consistent, calm presence does. Most cats don't reach this depth with humans, but yours does. And not because you tried to win them over, because without forcing it, you became predictable enough for them to relax. Your cat was never being distant before. They were measuring safety, and once they felt it, they chose you.